So Disney is trying to argue First Amendment rights to firing Gina Carano now. My First Amendment, which sets a really dangerous precedent, because if they can argue First Amendment rights to fire, how they've argued it, if the judge tosses this, sets a really dangerous precedent, that people can just fire anyone for literally disagreeing with anything that they say ever. It's really, really, really bad.
Yeah.
So let's take a look at this. And guys in the chat, if you want to chime in, super chats are the way to do it. But Gina Carano grotesquely trivialized the Holocaust, apparently. Disney says, once Elon Musk backed suit on Mandalorian firing tossed. So the statement is Disney had enough as part of their filing. So on Tuesday night, there was a filing to dismiss Gina Carano's wrongful discharge and sex discrimination lawsuit over being fired from The Mandalorian. The Mouse House states that the former MMA fighter lost her Star Wars series job in 2022 because her decision, and quote, to publicly trivialize the Holocaust by comparing criticism of political conservatives to the annihilation of millions of Jewish people, notably not thousands, was the final straw for Disney. I mean, you are clutching at a straw when you're saying that.
They are.
I mean, she was saying, what? She wasn't trivializing it. She was using that as a horrible example. It's Disney by proxy that are now trivializing it.
Mm-hmm.
Gina never trivialized the Holocaust at all.
Nope.
So seeking a June 12th hearing in federal court in downtown LA before Judge Sherilyn Peace Garnett. Anyway, the Disney represented insists that Elon Musk-backed action should be tossed out on the grounds that Disney has a constitutional right. This is the thing. Check this out, guys. To associate its artistic expression, not to associate its artistic expression with Carano's speech, such that the First Amendment provides a complete defense to Carano's claims. My First Amendment, I can fire who I want. Sorry, what? There's more. Her words were consistently twisted to demonize and oh no, that's what she said. Sorry. Yeah. What do you think? I mean, this is more of it. So Carano's social media usage sunk to its nadir on February 10 on that day. She reposted an Instagram post from blah, blah, blah. It read, Jews were beaten in the streets, not by Nazi soldiers, but by their neighbors, even by children, because history is edited. Most people today don't realize that to get to the point where Nazi soldiers could easily round up thousands of Jews, the government first made their own neighbors hate them by simply for being Jews. How is that any different from hating someone for their political views? Disney had enough. The same day, Carano grotesquely trivialized the Holocaust as comparable to sharp political disagreements. Lucasfilm announced that Gina Carano is not currently employed by Lucasfilm, and there are no plans for her to be in future. Nevertheless, her social media posts denigrating people based on their cultural and religious identities, that's not what she ever did, are abhorrent and unacceptable. A month later, Disney's former CEO explained that Carano's views didn't align with company values, including its values of respect, values of decency, values of integrity, and values of inclusion. I'm genuinely at a loss. This can't go through. This won't go through.
This is a bunch of garbage strung together. This is a bunch of garbage strung together to try to be a case. And they know they were wrong. They know they were in the wrong. They had, otherwise engaged in opportunities for her down the road, regardless of her contract status at the time. And then they went out publicly and attacked her in a defamatory way. None of what she said was denigrating to anybody. And she simply reposted a fact in history that I think she took directly from the museum, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, this stuff gets me crazy because it's so disingenuous. And you are 100% right. This is incredibly dangerous because now if they move forward with this, then anytime you use an example from history that is comparative to, something that's happening now, you could be targeted.
Well, check this out. The First Amendment protects Disney's decision to disassociate itself from some speech, but not from others. Different speech, but not from other different speech. The First Amendment mandates deference to the speaker's own decisions about what speech to associate with, even if others might consider those decisions internally inconsistent. Carano thus cannot stake out a discrimination claim by alleging that Disney accorded different treatment to different statements by different actors. Basically, we can do this rules for thee, not for me.
Yeah,
We're allowed.
that's exactly what it is. And the
That is
reason
literally what they're saying
the
here.
reason the reason they're doing that is because of what Pedro Pascal said and others that were using similar types of tactics. Fuck those guys. I'm sorry for the language, but that's annoying. Man.
It's crazy, right?
Man.
I can't believe the balls of them to write this in emotion. The absolute balls of it. Oh my God, Nick, let's get you now. Come on.
The thing is, if she was making comments and statements along the lines of what Pedro and Mark Hamill and so many others on that side were doing, she'd still be working there. She would still be there. Her show probably would already came out by now. She never would have been fired, and we'd all be sitting here saying, "Oh, Gina Carano's the one of these other woke idiots out there in Hollywood." But since she's on the other side, now they can't associate with her, and then they completely misrepresented her statements and what she was saying, and then defamed her on top of that, and then gave her no work. So she definitely has a leg to stand on. I mean, at this point, I guess Disney's just trying to do whatever they can to either drag this thing out or try to get it thrown out. I mean, I don't know, but
trying to get it thrown out now. This is the grounds of throwing out, basically.
Yeah, there's no way they're going to throw it out on based on that.
Well, how can you? How can you? So bad. Come on then, Andre. Get your thoughts, bud.
This is desperation. Yes. Because they are, when they argue freedom of speech to not, or First Amendment basically, to not associate with someone. Well, first of all, as pointed out by John F. Trent, I believe he did it tacitly, they admit to being guilty of exactly what they're being sued of, or sued for. They admit that, yes, we did fire her for political speech. And that is against the law, but we admit to doing that. But we think it should be against what we think doing so should be legal because First Amendment. And this is just more desperation. This is Reedy Creek all over again. See, they did the same thing there. There, they also argued freedom of speech. What happened with those lawsuits? Anyone care to remind me? How did that turn out in the end when they argued? For those who may not know, they all got thrown out. It's all gone. None of those. It was a complete and total victory for Florida. And do not let anyone tell you otherwise. They applied the wrong law. They're not an individual, they're a corporation. And a corporation doesn't have freedom of speech. The First Amendment doesn't apply. So this is just more absolute and total desperation. I am not a lawyer, but my understanding is that they don't have a leg to stand on here. And they're really, really reaching, and they're using laws that probably don't even apply to win the news cycle and out of desperation. But I do not see, where is this lawsuit happening? Which state?
California, I think. Yeah, it's California because she's suing them under a California law.
Yeah, okay. Well, I don't think that that's going to fly even in California. And if it does, actually, that means that if the Florida court decides that this flies, that means that absolutely every company in all of the state of Florida can fire every conservative at a drop of a hat because they don't want to associate with where they stand politically. You just violated the Constitution, basically. I do not see this going Disney's way, and I don't think it's going to. I think this is desperation because the lawyers have nothing else to latch on to.
Well, the law in California actually expands the First Amendment protections for coming out and talking about, political things and stuff like that, which is why, with it being like filed in California, it has more weight, and that Disney has less effect here. So this, again, Andre's 100% right, as usual. It is definitely a desperate move, and you were right to start the whole story off, Mr. H. If this is something that is upheld, if it isn't dismissed, if it doesn't go to trial, then we've got bigger problems here in this country. Not to mention the fact that this is really just the delay tactic, as Andre was saying, because they want to avoid discovery so bad. It's amazing.
Yeah.
They would be in big trouble with discovery. Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
No. This won't get tossed. It can't, because it sets such a dangerous precedent, and she'll appeal it anyway, or she'll refile it. Like, you can't. That on there's no way that this gets tossed. It just can't. Not on what they're arguing. It doesn't make sense. But anyway, never mind. Let's shuffle on. So we've got